Hello everyone! For the past week I've been playing the remake of Resident Evil 4, and after 2 playthroughs, 33 hours and almost all achievements hunted, I feel like I am ready to say all my thoughts on the survival horror remake. The 2 achievements that I haven't gotten, I'll hunt in the upcoming weeks. It requires another playthrough on a new unlockable difficulty that you get after completing the game for the first time, which is called Professional Mode. And basically you can talk at all with the merchant during the game for the other achievement. My raw overall impressions on Resident Evil 4 Remake is that this is the best Resident Evil I ever played, surpassing the 2 Remake and 7, and leaving me excited to test new things on new playthroughs just after I finish the first one. The first playthrough where you explore everything and get every treasure is long, but not too long, and every single moment of the game never drops the high quality it presents during the first minute you boot the game. Before we go into the full review, I do need to disclosure that I never played the original Resident Evil 4. With that, my opinion will be that of someone that is experienced this game for the first time, so I can't attest to any changes compared to the original or speak about improvements. What I can evaluate is the game itself, and does it feel like a brand new Resident Evil, or how does it compare to other entries? That's my aim with this review. Overall, I gotta say that Capcom outdid themselves here. Now let's see how it all came together across the different sections, shall we? For the story. I think story-wise this is the strongest Resident Evil story that I have ever experienced. Yes, Resident Evil 7 and the Baker family come close, but the fact that Ethan Winters is not at all a good protagonist downplayed the story overall for me, and Evelyn as a whole was also an uninteresting addition to the Resident Evil 7 story. But Resident Evil 7 is probably one of my favorites in terms of storylines. Resident Evil 4 has no weak parts to its story, every character feels naturally placed in, and plays a key role in progressing the plot further. Leon as Kennedy acts more like a veteran, as is natural after the events of Resident Evil 2 Remake, and feels logical and natural that he is able to deal swiftly with the threats in the events that unfold, as he has been trained since the Raccoon City incident from Resident Evil 2. And he also has experience under his belt. Whereas Ethan from Resident Evil 7 and Village feels like thrown into a hard situation without any experience, be it military or police training, and he basically can't handle anything thrown at him. This is one of my pet peeves in games with Ethan as the main character. It feels like he just comes across a gun and he's able to use it, he's able to kill everyone, every threat. I mean, it breaks a bit the immersion, you know? Aside from this, Ashley is a really good addition to Resident Evil games. She never acts like she's experienced, and her reactions are genuine to someone going through the events that they are going through. Ada returns and is also again working for a third party with connection to Umbrella. Her interactions with Leon are great and feel progressive. You can tell there is a history between both after the Resident Evil 2 remake. Luis is also a great addition to the story, and his course throughout the game is really interesting to follow. Resident Evil 4 Remake probably has the best villains yet in the series, at least in my opinion. Sadler looks menacing, the characterization and his design really make him seem like a threat, even before you start to understand his motivations. Mendez, the first time you see him, feels like an immovable object, even towering Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, and is really intimidating. Ramon Salazar, despite not feeling as threatening as the other two, plays a key role in handing out some important parts of the Las Plagas virus to Sadler. His character is very petty and tries to avoid confrontation at all times, unlike the other two. He's not as intimidating, but it's still a threat to be dealt with. Overall, I felt like the entire cast here isn't flawed or added in just for the sake of being added in. Everyone is playing a key role. The story of Los Iluminados and how Sadler uses the Las Plagas virus to his advantage and mind control everyone is pretty fascinating, and slowly unraveling the plot is very satisfying. Cinematics and cutscenes are very well crafted and up the intensity and atmosphere of the game's story. It really feels like there is a lot at stake here, and the sense of horror is always present. Progression systems and enemy design. I don't think I'll spend much time speaking about progression systems. If there is one constant amongst different Resident Evil games is how progression systems are designed and implemented. As you progress through the game and you smash objects, kill enemies, find treasures, you'll hoard more and more gold or pesetas, as they are called in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Throughout the game you'll meet the merchant, and much like Resident Evil Village, you'll be able to upgrade your weapons, buy new ones, sell older ones, buy healing items, resources to craft ammo, add-ons for your guns like scopes or stocks, amongst other items. A cool new feature here is you can find jewels throughout the game, and you can imbue those jewels into particular treasures you find. By adding different colored and shaped jewels on the treasure, you'll be able to inflate the value of the treasure more and more, being able to sell it to the merchant for a really high value. But apart from the inventory space increases that are also sold by the merchant, you can also get a few charms to attach to your inventory, basically your bag, by taking part in the shooting range minigame that's offered by the merchant. If you get a good score, you might get a golden token, otherwise you get a silver token, and you can use these in a slot machine to get charms. These charms will increase your HP recovery rate from green herbs, or a chance to get more handgun ammo when you are crafting handgun ammo, for example. And that's basically it. On enemy design, however, I was really surprised, not only in terms of how each enemy has unique features, attack animations, attack patterns, but also on the variety itself. There is a lot here, and Capcom did a phenomenal job. From regular indoctrinated villagers that suddenly resurrect with a new insect-like head full of tendons, or even a centipede on their head after you kill them, it's great. It makes sense as well. The insect is lying inside the villagers, and it basically takes control of them. So when they die, the insect comes out and basically becomes the host itself of the body. Boss designs and attacks are also very interesting, as they become more mutated by the Las Plagas virus. Their attacks are deadlier and they become more and more grotesque. The animations are superbly well done. You'll even find insects themselves, like little spiders that attach themselves to an host and control them, sitting on their back. So when you kill the host, they'll come screeching at you, or even the annoying flying monsters that look like giant mosquitoes. So all in all, variety is here, and it's remarkable the quantity of different enemy attack patterns and animations that Capcom managed to do here. Very good job. In terms of combat, this is probably the best Resident Evil iteration when it comes to combat. I don't remember having so much fun and looking forward to the combat portions as I did in Resident Evil 4 Remake. The shooting still feels punchy. It's third person and I honestly prefer it this way, but what I truly love is the new up-close martial arts combat animations where Leon can do a roundhouse kick and even put enemies on a shock hold. Of course, to trigger these attacks, and they are activated by pressing a button prompt much like a QTE, you need to wear down enemies until a pop-up appears over the head, and you do a martial arts move on them. It's cheap, as effectively you are just pressing a button, but the animations and enemy feedback is so good that it feels super satisfying, I'll tell you this. It never got old for me. You can literally kick 4 enemies with one single kick, if they are all next to each other. The feeling of doing a kick and literally all enemies get knocked on the ground is incredible. Aside from this, there's not much change to how combat plays out if you played Resident Evil 2 Remake. Guns are responsive, feedback is great, the further you progress in the game, the better the guns will be, the funnier the combat will get. There is an added component with Ashley. You can basically use tactics for her, as she acts like your companion. Not really your companion, she doesn't help you in the fight. You can command her to move freely, or she can hold still behind you. This is because enemies will go for Ashley and try to capture her. In my opinion, it's more annoying and frustrating than fun, but you get used to it. AI, I would say it's very good, very aggressive, and will normally flood you with numbers, so you may need to carefully think out whether you will try to use every ammunition at your disposal and kill everyone, or skip past some enemies, especially on the other difficulties. Overall, big fan of the additions, and the martial arts used by Leon also showcases development across the series. Level design and ambiance. Resident Evil 4 Remake is probably the most diverse in terms of landscapes and levels you explore. It takes the village from Resident Evil Village, the castle as well, and then a coastal area probably akin to something that you would see on Resident Evil 7 later parts of the game. These 3 big areas will have you killing, exploring and collecting treasures across 16 different chapters. The village, although never feeling claustrophobic, has some really good set pieces, especially around the church area and the lake. Yes, you can ride a boat and explore different areas around the village lake, even kill a Loch Ness-like creature. The castle feels very different to the one in the Resident Evil Village, but at the same time all too familiar. There are catacombs, secret rooms, libraries and even a throne room. Feels older than the one you explore in Village, that's for sure. The coastal area is the one I like the least. It feels much more modern, and that's where the transition between the old and mysterious from the castle and village switches into the more modern Resident Evil virus stuff with labs and industrial areas. It's not bad by all means, but some of the eerie atmosphere and sense of dread gets a bit lost when you switch to this area. The castle and village feel old, ancient, the atmosphere is heavy, you feel it while you are playing. I just didn't feel the same in the coastal area. It felt modern, and as the mysteries get revealed and you understand what caused all of what is happening, some sense of the horror can get a bit lost. For my final thoughts and score, as a whole, Capcom not only managed to bring another amazing survival horror remake to the market, but they surpassed all my expectations and made my favorite Resident Evil to date. As someone who never played the original, I may not feel the nostalgia and happiness of seeing such a great game being remade, but I certainly do feel like the fans will be happy and Capcom made it justice to the original. Fantastic and gripping story, where the atmosphere is heavy and the sense of horror never gets lost, a bit at the end, but we won't. Let's not get caught in the weeds. Punchy and responsive combat with something I never experienced before in Resident Evil in the form of martial arts. So I can't wait to see what Capcom does next. Hopefully a Resident Evil 5 remake is in the cards, or even a Resident Evil 1 remake, who knows. I just know that I can't get enough of these remakes and Capcom games in general, at least for the past few years. It's a must buy at the current price, but I wouldn't touch any of the add-on DLCs that they have listed on their store, and as those are honestly irrelevant, at least for me, in reaching the game's experience. That's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review, and until the end of the week I'll also be uploading a review on Dredge, a cool indie gem. I also recently started a ladder run of Diablo 2 Resurrected, so I expect a video of my build and a review of the remaster as well. Have a good one, guys. See you.